Or was it? So often had Palmer dreamed of pigeons. That's all he thought about. It might be a dream. He pulled down the shade. He walked around his room, kicked his hippo slippers across the floor, picked up his little foam basketball, lobbed some hook shots into the net hanging on the back of his door. He returned to the window, lifted the bottom of the shade an inch. He peeked. He saw a pair of small, pink, turkey-like legs rising to a gray, feathery plumpness. He lifted the shade fully. It was no dream. Palmer flapped his hands. Shoo! Shoo! He whispered. The bird pecked at the window pane. Just what Palmer needed, to be seen in the company of a pigeon. Fiends would wring both their necks. Go! Go! He tapped as if replying to the pigeon's code. Palmer ran down the shade. What a stupid pigeon. A million towns to choose from all over the country, and this bird's brain picks the one that shoots 5,000 of them every year. And all of the houses in town. The door opened. His mother poked her head in, surprised. You're up? Just got up, he managed to say. I heard you coming. The door closed. Palmer rushed through everything that morning. He couldn't wait to get out of the house. He was 10 minutes early at the corner where he met the guys every school day. They were 2 blocks away when they saw him. They waved crazily and yelled, Snot! Snot! And came running. They knocked each other into the snowbanks in their attempts to reach him first. Palmer's eyes watered. He gave out a giggle. He felt so good. He walked to school, became one long snowball fight, along with the way Beans noticed Dorothy Guzik walking behind them. Enemy ambush, he cried. Counterattack! The 4 of them fired volleys at her. She punched and turned as snowballs exploded on the back of her red coat. Palmer could not remember seeing that coat before. Must have gotten it for Christmas, he thought, as he packed and fired. Battleship barrage! Shrieked Beans. Palmer fired without restraint. Since summer, he had hardly spoken to her. He had found out there wasn't room in his life for Dorothy and the guys. Like peanut butter and pickles. They don't mix. It seems like everything the guys liked, everything they stood for, she did not. Thanks to the guys, he finally saw her for the pooper she was. She never laughed, never had any fun. Even now, looking at her, she just crouched there, not a peep, no screaming, no crying, no running away like any normal girl. Always had to act so big. And 3 weeks ago, for the first time ever, he had not invited him to her birthday party. School bell was ringing. Let's go, shouted Beans. Giving a little extra, Palmer fired a final cannonball that splattered white against the red coat, and he ran inside with the guys. All day long, he had a hard time concentrating. He kept thinking of the pigeon. Where did it come from? How did it get there? Did the blizzard blow it in? Where was it going now? Anywhere but my house, thought Palmer. After school, he forgot the bird in a flurry of snowballs and the cackle of sled roamers on Valentine's Hill. He plunged the snowball, tumbled, laughed until the sky in the west turned fiery orange. He made it home just in time for dinner. He did his homework, played with his toy soldiers. Then the sky came out and the window was pitch black. He did not want to look, but he had to. He had his father's flashlight. Slowly he raised the shade. He could see nothing but the reflection of his own room and off the window pane. He raised the window. Light spilled into the room from the snow-capped porch roof. He saw pigeon tracks, but no pigeon. He leaned out the window, turned on the flashlight, and swept it across the roof, back and forth, corner to corner. He saw nothing but silent snow. So he closed the window, lowered the shade, turned off the flashlight, and sat at the edge of his bed. He took a deep breath. He felt better. Tapping. Again, next morning. Oh, no. He reached out from the groggies, Lift the hem of the shade 2 inches. There it was, the world's dumbest bird, dipping its dumb head down so the orange button eye could stare back at him. Palmer knelt at the window. He talked to the orange eye. Don't you want to live, you dumb, stupid cluck? Go look at the soccer field. This town kills pigeons. There's a guy named Beans. He's my friend, but he's not your friend. He hates you. If he ever sees you, he'll wring your neck. And if you don't care about yourself, how about me? What do you think's going to happen to me when people think I have a pigeon? He raised the shade. The pigeon's head rose with it. Please, please. He put his palms together prayerfully. Go back to where you came from. You don't want to be here. The bird tapped on the window pane. Palmer shook his fist and yanked down the shade. Later, during breakfast, he chewed a spoonful of Frankenpuffs, and he suddenly saw the issue. Food. The bird was hungry. Fine. So he feeds the bird. What happens then? Does the bird eat and fly away to the next town? Or does it return back to the bedroom window where it got its last meal? Palmer was afraid he knew the answer. He knew that food was a powerful persuader of animals. Even his mother told him once about a stray cat. Don't feed him, or he'll keep coming back. If you feed this pigeon, it would be like sending it an invitation to return, an invitation to disaster. That's why Palmer was surprised to find himself carrying a handful of Frankenpuffs up the stairs, opening the window and tossing the puffs out in the snow, now crusted and gleaming with the sun melt. Puffs disappeared into the bird's beak. Palmer could not stop watching. Like the pigeons he had seen in the city, this one was mostly gray, the color of an eraser-smeared blackboard. But there was more. As the bird pecked at the puffs, the sunlight skipped on its glossing his green and purple around his neck. Palmer counted gray overall feathering 1, orange eyes trimmed in black or 2 or 3, tan beak 4, pink legs and feet 5, green and purple neck 6, 7, white wings tips 8. 8. Who would have thought one miserable ringed rat had so many colors? At the door, his mother's voice alarmed. Palmer, I thought you were gone. School starts in 10 minutes. He slammed down the shade, prayed she hadn't seen. He loaded what needed loading, his coat, boots, books, and ran. The sidewalks were empty. The guys had gone. School came much too soon. He did not want to stop running. All day long he was twitchy and runnerish. All day long he kept asking himself, why did I do that? But he knew why. He just did not to say it, not even to himself. After school he ran. The guy spotted him. Hey, Snots! Where are you going? Home, he called. My mom gave me a job. By the time he reached his bedroom, he was gasping. He threw up the shade. The Frankenpuffs were gone, and so was the bird. He scanned the empty blue sky. How should he feel? He thought of the pigeon flying over the snow-covered land, looking for another window, another bedroom, and he felt bad. He thought of the guys coming over and not finding him with the pigeon, and he felt good. So he opened the window, and with his fist crushed the crusty footprint of snow in front of it so no one would know the bird had been there. He lay in bed. He no longer felt like running. He wondered if pigeons flew south in the winter, like geese. He wondered how far it was by now. He thought about somebody else feeding the pigeon, and he felt jealous. Then he felt nervous, realizing he was thinking of it as his pigeon. What a dangerous thought that could be around here. So he got up, got downstairs, got down his soldiers, but didn't feel like playing. He put them all back. He shot some baskets, turned on the TV. He watched, but he wasn't playing or paying any attention. There was the Sesame Street and the Cookie Monster spewing crumbs all over the place. Then Gilligan's Island. Then Snooty, fancy-talking man trying to crack a coconut with his wife's high-heeled shoe. He kept hammering until Gilligan snatched it away the coconut and cracked it open by bonking it against his own head. But the hammering went on, right into the commercial. Palmer sprang to the window. There it was. Pigeon, he yelped aloud. His first thought was to feed it, so it wouldn't go away. He made a gesture of patience with his hands through the window. He called, "Just wait, hold on," and he raced out of his room. He was always leaving something lying around, potato chips, pretzels, half a cupcake. So he darted into the closet, dived under the bed, yanked open the drawers. Nothing, not a scrap. The bird was tapping. It was still daylight outside, but fading. "Just a minute, 1 second," he called. He'd have to go downstairs and get something from the kitchen, which was fine, except what if the bird got tired of waiting, maybe flying around all day, and it found a friendlier window, one that didn't make him wait so long. Maybe the next time he went away, he would not come back ever. Palmer did not think. He did not use one bit of good sense he was born with. He simply walked across the room, opened the window. The bird walked in. Not hopped, walked, like a person, like those city pigeons he had seen. Head bobbing, all business, cool, as you please, like he owned the joint. Walked across the window into the back of Palmer's hand, strode up to his right arm, and nipped Palmer's earlobe. Ow! He hoped he hopped onto the top of Palmer's head. Palmer stood rock still, afraid to move, even his eyeballs. Pointy little toes were moving in his hair. It felt scratchy good. The bird made a sound like a chuckle, like it had just heard a joke, and the wing flap was gone. Palmer turned around to find it walking across the floor. Seen from behind, the pigeon waddled. Hunger had not been his problem. It was Pudgy. The bird hopped onto Palmer's bed and took a walk around, with each step nodding approvingly, as if it would say, "So far, so good. I think I'll like this place." The orange eye never blinked. It flew to the bookcase, ambled across the booktops, pecked at the pages, checked out the TV, but did not seem interested in the program of the moment. The 5 o'clock news. It stepped through the circular UHF antenna like a snow dog through a hoop, and he moved to the top of the dresser where his waddle tipped over Palmer's family picture, the candle he made at school, and everything else that had been standing. From there it swooped down to Palmer's back of his comic books and landing. It was a disaster. As soon as the bird's feet touched down, the flimsy cover of the top of the comic book gave away, and the bird, with a startled "Oh!" Palmer imagined, tumbled feet over toes into the floor. It left a white quarter-sized glop where he landed and marched over to the wastebasket. Palmer yowled with laughter just as his mother came in and asked, "What's so funny?" Palmer stiffened. He blurted, "Nothing, something on TV." The wastebasket was behind the door she had just opened. He willed her not to look. She frowned. "Why is the window open? It's cold in here." He jumped up and shut the window. "Time for dinner?" Before he could answer, he snapped off the TV and the light and pulled the door shut. Bounded downstairs, announcing, "I'm starving, let's eat." When Palmer returned to his room after dinner, he did not see the pigeon. The white glop on the floor had dried to powder. He kept looking in the corners, under the bed. Finally he found the bird in the closet, on the high shelf. It was resting in its stomach on the shoebox that housed the toy soldiers. Its eyes were closed. Palmer emptied the pocketful of Frankenpuffs onto his homework desk. He took off his sneakers so that he would not make too much noise walking around. He turned out the overhead light and turned on the desk lamp and cleaned up the white spot on the floor. He did his homework. He watched some TV. He mounted some Beetle Bailey comics in his comic book. He ate his snack. He read 2 chapters of a book. He did everything you usually did on a school night, except he did it more quietly, and with a warm, giggly, "I've got a secret" feeling, and with a peek into the closet every 5 minutes. When his mother came to say good night and to ask if he had brushed his teeth, he knew it was time to have a talk with her. "Mom?" "Yes." She was standing in the doorway, her head on the knob. "Do you think maybe when you come to my room from now on, like, you could knock?" He had tried to say it casually in his best no big deal voice, hoping she would receive it just as casually with a shrug. Sure, no problem. Ha! When did his mother ever make that easy? She stood staring at him from the doorway, her eyes blinking, and her expression total blank, like he had just spoken to her a foreign language. Then a faint amusement overcame her face, and she said, "Okay," casually with a shrug. "Amazing." She smiled and closed the door. Too amazing. What if she wasn't as casual as she acted? What if she came around snooping? He had to give her a reason. Had to give her a reason. He opened the door. She was halfway down the stairs. "You want to know the reason?" She stopped, turned and looked at him. "Okay." "Well," he said, "it's like, I'm getting older now." He stared at her. How could he say this? She said it for him. "And you're a boy, and I'm a girl, and you're getting too big for girls to see you in your underwear, even if the girl is your mother. So you want a warning, so you'll have time to cover yourself up, right?" He nodded. "Yeah. Just one question." "What?" "Aren't you still a little young for that?" "I'm mature for my age." She nodded thoughtfully. "Oh, I see." Staring down at the stairs. Stopped, turned back. "How about besides knocking, if I blow a whistle when I'm on my way?" Her eyes were twinkling. "Mom, am I still allowed to wash your underwear?" Palmer closed the door in another second. He'd be laughing. Palmer went to bed that night with a grin on his face. For the first time in his life, he was not the only sleeper in the room. He did not turn out the nightlight.